One of the biggest problems for the Raptors last year was their lack of point guard depth. But what if I told you they could address this problem in the draft, even with the 33rd overall pick? Well, in today's video, we're going to break down Andrew Nembhard's draft profile and see if he's worth drafting in the second round. Let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? It's Jacob here, back with Amateur Hour Sports for another Toronto Raptors YouTube video. On this channel, I give you the greatest coverage and analysis on the latest Toronto Raptors news, and we're going to be doing that all throughout the offseason. So if you like what you see from today's video, then make sure you are subscribed to the channel and help us on a road to 10,000 subscribers. If you find yourself enjoying this video along the way, do not forget to drop a like. Let's try to get to 200 likes on this video. I know we can do it. But today, we are doing our second installment of our draft profile series. The first one, we talked about Jalen Williams in the previous video. Today, we are talking about a completely different player in Andrew Nembhard. A lot of Raptors fans are kind of looking at this guy because he's got a lot of talent for somebody who is still in college or about to exit the college game, and he's Canadian. Raptors fans always like to speculate Canadians coming to Toronto and playing in their home country, playing for their home team, because Andrew Nembhard actually from Aurora, very close to Toronto. So it would be interesting to see Andrew Nembhard playing in Toronto, but we have to establish, is the player good enough to play in Toronto? Is the player worth taking with that 33rd overall pick? So that is exactly what we want to figure out over the course of this video, because the Raptors last season, they were lacking in the point guard depth, like I said in the video. The point guard depth was so bad that we were forced to play Fred VanVleet like 40 minutes per game, and ultimately later on in the season, it did come back to haunt him because he just could not sustain that level of play in that many minutes. So we wanted to talk about, we've talked about already, getting a point guard in free agency or maybe trading for a backup point guard that's more reliable. We love Dalano Banton, but I don't think it's any secret to say that he's not quite at that backup level yet, unless something drastically changed in the offseason. So in my ideal world, Dalano Banton is the third point guard, and we get a better backup than Malachi Flynn. If Malachi Flynn, we have to move on from him, then so be it. I'm not going to lose any sleep over that. Let's be honest here. Again, unless something drastically changes in the offseason. But the fix could actually come with this 33rd overall pick, which is why we are looking at Andrew Nembhard. So who is Andrew Nembhard? He is a point guard coming out of Gonzaga. He's about 6'5", which is great height for a point guard. 6'6" wingspan. For a point guard, not really interested in that statistic. And he's currently 22 years old. He actually turned 22 already this year, so pretty old for a college prospect. But what people like about Andrew Nembhard is that you kind of know what you're already going to get with this player, because you've seen him in so many years of college. You've seen his level in his most recent year of college as a senior. You know what you're going to get with Andrew Nembhard. And that's kind of what's drawing people towards him, because he is a very good player already, ready to jump into the NBA. The college statistic that he displayed would kind of showcase that, especially for a point guard. Not the most amount of points here, 11.8 points, but great number of assists at 5.8, 1.8 steals, going along with excellent shooting numbers, especially for a point guard. 45% from the field and 38% from three. I'm telling you, as it comes to college prospects, if they're shooting anywhere near that level, that is an exceptional three-point shooter and something that almost certainly can translate into the NBA. And the free throw percentage also showcases very good shooting, 87% from the line as well. So Andrew Nembhard is a pretty interesting prospect, no doubt, as a result of these stats. And there's a lot of things beyond these statistics that goes towards Andrew Nembhard's game in a point guard, because he played with such a talented team in Gonzaga after transferring there from the Florida Gators. He transferred there because he was the floor general that Gonzaga needed with all of the talent around them. Now, they didn't quite win the national championship again. They fell short for the second year in a row, despite having the best team in the regular season. But nonetheless, Andrew Nembhard was a big contributor to this team that did have a ton of success, and he was a big part of the reason why they had all of that success. But what were the specific things that led to that success? Let's talk about the strength that Andrew Nembhard possesses here, because like I said earlier, you kind of know what you're going to get. He is NBA ready. I believe that Andrew Nembhard, even for a possible second round pick here, will come into the league and contribute to a team from day one. Maybe not quite a contender. I think if he were to get drafted a late first round by a contender, or even late second round by a contender, that's probably going to be their third point guard, somebody they can rely on maybe through injuries, but somebody somebody who can help them out, even within the team dynamic, and be a part of that roster from day one. NBA ready player, no doubt. Also, like I said, floor general, there's so many things he does on the floor to help out his team, make his teammates better. Very selfless, very good playmaker, especially in transition, can find the right passes, great court vision, like the way they can break out, the way Gonzaga could break out, starting with in a great outlet pass from Andrew Nembhard was great to watch this season. His size as well in the position, 6'5", like that is excellent for a point guard, especially for a Raptors team who's kind of used to the smaller point guards like Kyle Lowry or Fred VanVleet. Now we're maybe getting used to the extremely tall point guards like Dalano, Banton, but a nice little middle ground here at 6'5" for Andrew Nembhard, which really allows him to excel from a shooting standpoint. Great range, and I mean, a lot of the times he's shooting over point guards who are maybe a bit smaller than him, but he has that deep range. He's got that long three, even around, just around the perimeter. Like, great three-point shooter. 38% is a very good number to shoot from three, and it's because he's a very good shooter from that spot. What's also great about him is that he's worked on this. He came into college as not one of the best shooters. He spent 4 years developing his game, and you've seen year after year his willingness to consistently improve and get better. And things that maybe weren't the best originally, he has gotten consistently better, and the shooting is one of the biggest things that has just gotten better and better and could even get better in the NBA level. Then you've got his defensive willingness, maybe not the most talented defender, but the 1.8 steals showcases a level of talent defensively, and also just the fact that he's willing to work. He wants to work on defense. He wants to get better on defense, something the Raptors could absolutely work with, and maybe one of the biggest things that people want to draft him for, high floor. Like, he's going to come into the league. I would argue potentially that Andrew Nembhard right now might be better than Malachi Flynn right now, and Andrew Nembhard has never even played in the NBA. But there are some weaknesses to his games. Out of the mock drafts that I've seen, not the most telling things. Most have him second round. Very few have him kind of sneaking into a very late first round pick. Some have him going late second round. And the reasons why these are the cases is because of the weaknesses. Doesn't have the highest ceiling. He has a very low ceiling, the high floor, but based on the athleticism that he has, there is a limitation to what he can achieve in the NBA. Even with the good height, I mean, sometimes those floor general types of players, they really make a name for themselves in the NBA in terms of, helping out their team, making their team better, but the projections aren't that high for Andrew Nembhard, it's safe to say. Draft age is a little bit of a problem as well. He turned 22 in January, so he was a 2000-born player, already old for a guy you're drafting out of college, not the high ceiling, again, what you want to work with in terms of potential, especially for a Raptors team, kind of working on this potential stuff. Maybe not the best pick for them. And another thing is the shooting form. It's kind of weird because this is an orange here because he's a very good shooter. The shooting form is a little bit strange. He kind of does push the ball a little bit too much. It works for him. I mean, he knocks down a ton of threes. Does it maybe lead to more block shots in the NBA from that range? Potentially, but I can live with bad form if the shot is consistently dropping. But these are things that you have to consider. As much as he is a floor general, a very smart player, high IQ basketball player, the athleticism, I don't think it's going to limit him too much. Like point guards in the NBA, especially those floor general types, don't need to be the most athletic guys. But the draft age probably is a little bit of an area for concern, and just how good he's able to get over the course of his career. Maybe the Raptors want to go with a guy with a little bit more potential at 33rd overall. That's a distinct possibility. But now we must shift into the player comparable, the guy that kind of resembles what Andrew Nembhard may bring in the NBA. I really struggled to find a good player comparable here, and to be honest, I found this one online. It does make the most amount of sense. I tried to find one of my own that made more sense, and I just simply couldn't. Raptors fans, if you're an older one maybe, you will know Greivis Vasquez is pretty similar to the way Andrew Nembhard plays. Not the most prolific scorer, but has the range to knock down those shots, can be that floor general off the bench, can run the second unit. Greivis Vasquez, as much as we made one of the greatest trades of all time, getting rid of Greivis Vasquez. If you don't know, we traded Greivis Vasquez for the rights to Norman Powell out of the draft, and the draft pick that would eventually become OG Anunoby. And within a year, Greivis Vasquez was out of the NBA. Now, before he was out of the league, when he was with the Raptors, he was a good player. The reason why he went for a second-round pick and a first-round pick. He's a floor general at about 6'6", could command the floor. Again, not the most athletic guy, but a smart player, and he used his smarts to be effective in the league. That's a good comparison to Andrew Nembhard as a result of all the things that I have spoken about with the player. So, Overall, Andrew Nembhard is a low-risk guy. Like, you're taking a low-risk player here because you know that he can be a contributor possibly right away from year one. Could he be in your rotation from day one? It is distinctly possible he is able to do that. The floor spacing that he can provide will allow him to have that extra little bit of playmaking edge. He passes the ball very well. His court vision is very good. He makes his teammates better by being out there on the floor. And also, having these things and having the ability to knock down his own jump shots is great. That paired with defensive willingness and already a player who is adept at getting those steals, despite, playing with a very good team. Andrew Nembhard was involved with that Gonzaga team for a reason. He was a talented player that belonged with arguably the best team in the nation. He'll come into the league and help out teams, I believe, right away. Could a contender be looking at him late second round? I believe so. I don't think contenders or good teams who are drafting late first round, don't think they'll want to go for him there. But if he does slip into the second round, later parts of the second round, I think a lot of teams will be looking to snap him up to make him their third choice point guard. But I believe for the teams maybe drafting a little bit lower in the second round, they could feel like he could be their backup point guard. And for a Raptors team who struggled so much in that position last year, the backup guard spot, this could be the player for them in that position. My thoughts is, if we drafted Nembhard, I would be all right with it because I know now we're drafting a point guard who can help us out for sure. I would prefer to go with somebody with a little bit more potential that our development team could work with. But I'm not going to be upset if Masai Ujiri decides to go with the Canadian point guard on draft night. So what are your thoughts and opinions on Andrew Nembhard? Do you think the Raptors should select him with this pick? Who else do you want to see me do a draft profile and a breakdown for on this channel? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below, because that is it for today's video. Please drop a like if you did enjoy. It goes a long way to supporting the channel. Let's get to 200 likes on this video. And if you're new to the channel, or if you haven't subscribed yet and you are enjoying the video, then make sure you do that. We're on a road to 10,000 subscribers, and you can help us along the way, building the brand of Amateur Hour Sports as we head towards the NBA entry draft. I'm so excited to get to that point. We'll see you again next time for another video.